Welcome to Get Involved. My name is Abesadu Byanyiko. As usual, I'm not alone. My friends are joining me from Lagos, Ishaya, Ibrahim, and Dayo, Emmanuel. I would like Ishaya to introduce the guests that we have in the house before we introduce the topic we're discussing today.
Hi guys, this is a very good opportunity for us to discuss some very important issues. But before we go into the conversation, let me introduce a guest that we have. He will do justice to this topic because he's coming from a familiar terrain, the Southeast. He is none other but Anayo Ezugwu, a journalist who has practiced both in Lagos and is familiar with the situation in the Southeast. So he'll be giving us some perspective while we look at the development that Alex will introduce.
Anayo, you're welcome.
Thank you very much, Ishaya.
It is no news in Nigeria and the world over now that Simon Ekpa has been sentenced to 6 years imprisonment. Today we are going to be looking at the implications of that. What does it mean to Nigeria? What does it mean to our justice system? What is the implication of this judgment? And who is Simon Ekpa? So I would like our friend Anayo to first of all tell us who is Simon Ekpa as we continue the conversation.
Thank you very much. Samuel Ekpa is a young man from the southeast region of Nigeria. Precisely, he's from Ebonyi State. And he traveled to Finland, like the local palace, Jakpa. He Jakpa to Finland in 2007. And has been there since then till this latest incident of his conviction that came up yesterday.
Ishaya, do you have any comment before Anayo continues?
Yes, I should also add that in 2003, Simon Ekpa was one of the athletes that represented Nigeria in an athletic competition, African athletic competition in Cameroon, and he won medals for Nigeria. That was 2003 until he jumped in 2007, where he now became a politician in Finland. In fact, in 2009, he was naturalized. He became a naturalized citizen of Finland and won a councillorship seat in Finland. So that there is an irony because this is somebody who went to another man's country, was integrated in that society despite his background coming from Africa. He was integrated in a Caucasian society, but he was trying to disrupt or to disintegrate where he was coming from. So that's a bit of an irony there.
Dayo, do you have any perspective to the introduction before Anayo continues from where he stopped?
Good afternoon, everybody. It is highly intriguing that the development we saw yesterday. Many people saw it coming, and like Anayo has actually given a background, and Ishaya has also given his own perspective of the person behind Simon Ekpa, who probably was outside the house and throwing stones inside the house, his own father's house. So it's just somebody that should not be emulated by our teaming young Nigerians. So somebody who has represented Nigeria, who has won medal for Nigeria, who has won an election in his newfound home, now finding himself in prison. It's a story of from grace to grass by his own making, not the making of the society found.
I think this brings a fundamental question. Before Anayo continues, I would like to ask the question, what could have happened for someone who was, played for Nigeria, represented Nigeria in athletics, and then left Nigeria for Finland and became a politician? Then what happened between that 2007 to when his activities with IPO began? What could have happened?
You know that Simon Ekpa is from the Southeast, and when it comes to Biafra, it's a sensitive subject. And people are also very emotional about the topic, Biafra. And the Nigerian state has not apologized officially to the Southeast for that 30-month war that led to enormous loss of lives and property. Even though one could argue that Ojukwu led the rebellion against Nigeria, but there was a provocation that resulted into that rebellion. So it was a justifiable action at the time for that war to have happened. I mean, for the rebellion against Nigeria to have happened, carried out by none other but Ojukwu. Now, many years after the Civil War, there are questions that have remained unanswered. There are wounds that have not been properly healed. There are feelings of marginalization. The Southeast feels that it is not getting what it ought to get in the Nigerian state. The Southeast has not been fairly treated by previous governments. The Buhari government worsened the situation when, after winning election, even before his inauguration as president, he was quoted to have said that communities that gave him 5% of the vote should not expect the same quantum of dividend of democracy as those who gave him 97% of the vote. That was very horrible for a president to have said. And to add salt to injury, he described the Southeast as a dot, as a tiny dot in a circle. I mean, why would a president, although he's late, made such comment about a country you're governing? Now, that caused it now gave ammunition in the hands of dissidents, in the hands of people who otherwise would have been rogues. It gave them ammunition, and they went into town mobilizing, agitating, causing, stoking hate against the Nigerian state. And that is how we now have a group that says they're agitating for Biafra, but majority of them are not. They're simply using power to steal, to destroy.
Okay.
Thank you, Alex. Go ahead.
You heard what Ishaya said. Like
Yes.
to add from your perspective as
Yes. Thank you very much, Alex. Ishaya has vividly captured some of the things that led to the heightened agitation in the Southeast. The advent of social media also contributed in heightening the crisis in the Southeast, because now information is now free. Information has been liberalized. So anybody can sit anywhere in the world, record himself, post whatever, say all kinds of rubbish, post on social media, and people will follow. Because of that marginalization, that perceived marginalization in the Southeast, whatever you say against the Nigerian state, favoring the Southeast or Biafra, then they always lash onto it and expand it. And that's one of the things that led to the destabilization of Southeast. Whether we like it or not, Southeast has been destabilized, because it will be difficult for now to rebuild the economy of Southeast unless there is a concerted effort by the government to address some of these agitations. Other than that, the crisis in the Southeast would take time to be addressed. And the fire that people like Samuel Ekpa stuck in the Southeast will take time to be put off, because like what Ishaya said, the group that is agitating, that group has been hijacked by criminals. They are the ones in charge now, running the show. Even though the state governments in the southeast announced that they have ended, nobody should observe sit at home, the people are indirectly and directly still observing it. I'll give you an example. I went to Jibo on Sunday evening to pick a consignment. If you are somewhere to Jibo, if you go there in the evening, you will discover that not less than, let me be modest, 20 luxury buses will be loaded every evening in Jibo to Southeast. 20 luxury buses. But I was shocked that I got there on Sunday evening to pick a consignment. I discovered that nobody is loading. I just engaged the drivers while waiting for the company to arrive from Enugu. I will just engage the drivers that are at the park. I said, what is happening? People are not loading today. He said, load to where? He said, we can't load. Unless tomorrow we can load to Sabbath today to arrive Southeast tomorrow. He said, we can't do that. He said, because of, you don't know what will happen if you load from Lagos to Southeast. So that's the extent of destabilization in the Southeast. And if you know what the economy is losing every Monday because of this sit at home, then you will know that it's a victory to some of us.
The courts did not only mention acts of terrorism. They said he also tax fraud. He was also charged for tax fraud, and he was also charged for impersonation, because they said he claimed to be a lawyer, but they found out that he's not a lawyer. The law firm that he's running in Finland, that it is his ex-wife that was a lawyer, that he himself is not a lawyer. So for that reason, he's being charged for impersonation, as it were. So, Dayo, how does that, what is the implication of this to the Nigerian justice system? Because his trial, as I learned, started sometime in May, maybe late May to June, just about 1 month. And they say they had 12 sessions, that is 12 sittings, and the guy is already sentenced to 6 years imprisonment. Meanwhile, if you compare his own case with Nnamdi Kanu, I think Nnamdi Kanu's case started way before his, right? And yet, the judgment is yet to be passed. So what does that imply?
Well, when we compare the two justice systems, there are a lot of things that we can deduce from there. Because normally, cases in Nigeria of such magnitude can take ages, while the accused will just be rotting in the unawaiting trial list. But here we see in Finland, just May, June, July, August, this September 1st was sentenced. So it's just to tell you how societies function and how societies don't function. So we can see our legal system still has a very long way to go. And just by seeing what the comparison between the two, the justice system. And yesterday when the news broke, my own version of the story in my headline didn't only capture terrorism. I actually captured that fraud aspect of it. Now, something we can see as simple as tax evasion is a very big offense in other crimes. So I picked my own angle from the terrorism, which everybody was taking, and but I added the fraud part of it. And these two are weighty, very weighty in civilized crimes. I'm not saying we are not civilized. At least our civilization has got to a point. But I think the Nigerian justice system should learn from what has just happened. We can see how Simon Ekpa has been sentenced under a few months. And while Nnamdi Kanu is still there, he's still going to court and is still running sessions. And yesterday, when the news broke, some of us, including myself, I was even saying that somebody like Simon Ekpa should have been allowed to serve his prison term in Nigeria, where though the crime was committed abroad, and the court cases were done abroad, but I would have loved him to be repatriated and let him have a feel of some of the things he has put people through. You can imagine, Anayo was telling us the economic damage that is orchestrated, sit at home, caused the entire Southeast, 5 states of the Southeast. I think early last month, I saw a news which I also followed on the FDI, foreign direct investment from outside Nigeria into Nigeria in the first quarter of this year. I also did that story as a business story, and I saw that only 7 states and the federal capital were captured as bringing something to the table in foreign direct investment into Nigeria. We're talking of Ekiti State, Oyo State, Ogun State, Lagos State. Those are the 4 states from Southwest, and we had Kaduna State from Northwest and Kano State. These are the only states and the federal capital that brought something to the table. Now you ask yourself, what happened to other states? We already know that the Northeast is having a terrorism issue, there's unrest in the Northeast for quite some years now, and it's spreading to the Northwest. So we can explain that. Even in the North Central, we can explain that these states may not have any investment from abroad. Nobody wants to invest. Now, Southeast, the Southeasterners are known to be very enterprising. In fact, any village or any town in Nigeria where you don't find an Igbo man, that village will still lack some things in some commodities which they trade in. So for Southeast, for the quarter, January, February, March of this year, no single Southeast state brought a foreign direct investment into Nigeria, and it is something so strange, and it can be far-fetched from the agitation and the activities of elements like Nnamdi Kanu and Simon Ekpa. So somebody who has injured the economy of the country, somebody who has injured the economy of the Southeast, known for trading, they are majorly traders from Southeast, doing well around the world. Somebody who has caused this kind of damage, I think he should be repatriated to Nigeria to serve his prison time. I think he will enjoy the breeze that it disrupted in Nigeria. He will enjoy it better than serving his time in the AC in Finland.
I learned that earlier the Nigerian government attempted to get his case transferred to Nigeria, but Finland refused because, as Dayo said, that the crime he committed, but the crime was committed in Nigeria. Most of them, especially that of the terrorism charge, was committed in Nigeria. So if it was to be done properly, he was supposed to have been repatriated to Nigeria for that case, but the Finland authorities refused. So does that say anything about their maybe trust in the Nigerian justice system or doubts?
One thing you should know is that Samuel Ekpa is a citizen of Finland.
Okay, that's true.
And yes. So despite whatever he committed, they will always try to protect their citizen, rightly or wrongly. So it will be very difficult for them to release him to Nigeria to be tried here, or, as Dayo suggested, to release him to come and serve his jail term here. I've said it before, if you ask any Southeasterner who would prefer for him not to serve any jail term, they should just keep him on the streets. Let us deal with him so that we can teach him some lessons. If he survives it, he's free to go. So that is one of the reasons why it will be difficult for him to come to Nigeria to serve the jail term or even be tried in Nigeria. But I also think that if Nigerian government is also serious, they can also prepare their own charges against him whenever he finishes his charges there, and any day he comes to Nigeria, he will be arrested and he will face the charges of the crime he committed here. Because when you say somebody, the guy is charged for terrorism, the guy is a terrorist. You read online what he said he was doing. Say he's a content creator. Gather money from Southeasterners abroad, and you are using it to destabilize Southeast, using it to mobilize people here to destabilize Nigeria, not just Southeast, making our security officials target in Southeast. I know my friends who are in police, military, and other paramilitaries. Most of them hardly go to work with their uniform because they are the easy play in Southeast. So as a result of that, that's why if you go to it's very common that you hardly see security people having beards. But if you go to Southeast, you hardly know who is a policeman, who is all of them, they go with their beards. So that's the extent of the endangered species that the guy made them. He considered them, not minding that 90% of those security officials in South, they are Southeasterners. 90% of them. But the guy has made them the easy prey, saying that they are Nigerian. So because they are Nigerian police, they are the ones representing Nigeria. So they should be the targets. Wow. So that's one of the things I think that the guy Nigeria should also prepare a charge sheet for him, that any day, any time that he steps his feet here, he should be arrested to face the consequences of the crime that he committed here. Thank you.
Wonderful. So from all responses and across media, across the nation, it is justice seems to have been served, right?
Yes.
So in few words, what would we say are the takeaways for Nigeria? What are the lessons for us as Nigerians in this Simon Ekpa's trial and eventual sentencing?
Yes, what I would say is that we should learn to do our investigations before arrest and charging somebody, not arresting somebody while carrying on investigations. That will help our justice system and help for a speedy delivery of justice. Thank you.
Thank you. Dayo.
Well, the lesson there for Nigeria and the judicial system is that in the civilized world, things are done. There are procedures for doing things, and here we should not just do what they call hit and run in Nigeria. The judicial system in Nigeria should learn from what has just transpired in faraway Finland, where Simon Ekpa was tried for just how many months, May to September, and September 1st was convicted. You can see the speed, you can see the seriousness. Instead of in other places where you arrest somebody, then you start investigating, then the investigation will go on and on and on without end. At the end of the day, the person is sentenced to 8 years, out of which he has spent 6 years behind bars, and he will now have to complete just the 2 years. So what's the punishment in that? How do we explain that? So the Nigerian system should learn from Finland on how to investigate and how to pass judgment, do your hearings and pass judgment in business way, just in real time. Everything was over, and the offender is behind bars, and he knows why he's there. It's not that if it was here now, we're talking about victimization, we're talking of harassment, we're talking about torture, or being forced to confess what he did not do. These people went straight to work, went straight to business, and he was convicted and sentenced to 6 years. And 6 years is going to be 6 years more.
Well, thank you, Ishaya. Thank you, Dayo. Thank you, Anayo, for being very informing and enlightening our viewer. Thank you so much for being part of Get Involved today. In case you haven't subscribed, kindly do that. Subscribe, like, and share the video so that we all can grow together. Thank you so much for being part of the program. See you in our next video. Bye-bye.